right, good afternoon. I'm going to start off with some updates on Yemen, including a statement from the Secretary General. And I can tell you that the Secretary General is gravely concerned about the continued arbitrary detention of 59 of our UN personnel, in addition to dozens of personnel from NGOs, civil society, and diplomatic missions. He condemns the referral by the Houthi de facto authorities of United Nations personnel to their special criminal court. The United Nations personnel have been held incommunicado, some for many years, without any due process, in violations of international law. United Nations personnel, including those who are nationals of Yemen, are immune from legal process in respect to all acts performed by them in their official capacity. We call on the de facto authorities to rescind the referral and work in good faith towards the immediate release of all UN detained personnel of the United Nations, NGOs, and diplomatic community. The United Nations remains committed to supporting the people of Yemen and delivering principled humanitarian assistance. And that statement has been shared with you. Also, on Yemen, I can tell you that following the recent developments in Hadramaut and Al-Mara in the eastern region of the country, our special envoy for Yemen, Hans Grunberg, today highlighted the need for all actors to exercise restraint and de-escalate through dialogue. This came during meetings he held in Riyadh with the Yemeni Foreign Minister, Shaya Zindani, the Saudi ambassador to Yemen, Mohammed Al-Jaber, the UAE ambassador to Yemen, Mohammed Al-Zabi. He also met with representatives of the 5 permanent members of the Security Council in Saudi Arabia, as well as other diplomats. Mr. Grunberg noted that the eastern region of Yemen is a vital area, both politically and economically, and underscored the need to preserve the space where Yemeni parties can discuss in support of stability and in the interest of the Yemeni people. Mr. Grunberg reaffirmed his continued engagement with Yemeni regional and international actors to support the de-escalation and advance prospects for a negotiated settlement of the ongoing conflict in Yemen. Trip announcement to share with you. Later today, the Secretary General will be leaving New York for travels to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Oman. He will arrive in Riyadh on Wednesday, tomorrow. There he will hold bilateral meetings with the Saudi leadership, including His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, as well as the Prime Minister, Crown Prince and Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, to discuss a number of pressing regional issues. From Saudi Arabia, the Secretary General will travel to Iraq on December 13th to mark the closure of the UN assistance mission in Iraq. The Secretary General is expected to express his gratitude to the mission staff members and to the government and people of Iraq for hosting UNAMI for some 22 years. While in Baghdad, he'll have bilateral meetings with the leaders of the government of Iraq, including the Prime Minister, Mohammed Shia al-Sudani. The Secretary General will then return to Riyadh to participate in the 11th Global Forum of the UN Alliance of Civilizations, taking place on the 14th and 15th in the Saudi capital. The forum, convened under the theme 2 Decades of Dialogue for Humanity, Advancing a New Era of Mutual Respect and Understanding in a Multipolar World, marks the 20th anniversary of the Alliance of Civilizations. Prior to leaving the region, the Secretary General is also scheduled to visit Muscat, the capital of Oman. There he will meet with the Sultan of Oman, His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq Al Said. That will take place on December 15th, and they are expected to discuss a number of regional issues, including the situation in Yemen. The Secretary General is expected to be back in New York on the 16th. The high-level pledging event for the Central Emergency Response Fund, which we flagged yesterday, is currently underway. Speaking at the event earlier this morning, the Secretary General appealed for stepped-up commitments to our Global Emergency Fund. All this to help reach $1 billion target for SURF that was endorsed by the General Assembly, and to keep humanitarian funding predictable for the years ahead. This year alone, SURF, as I mentioned to you yesterday, has allocated some $110 million to neglected and underfunded emergencies from Afghanistan to Somalia and beyond. Yet the projected contributions this year are expected to be the lowest since 2015. The Secretary General said we are being asked to do more and more with less and less, and that is simply unsustainable. For his part, Tom Fletcher, our emergency relief coordinator, warned that if SURF falters, then the world's emergency services will falter and millions of people who rely on us will suffer. Our colleagues from the Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs will be providing you with the total funding pledges announced at the conference as soon as we have them. And this morning, the Security Council held briefings on Ukraine. Speaking on our behalf was Joyce Masuya, the Deputy Emergency Relief Coordinator, and she said that intense Russian missile and drone attacks across Ukraine have continued to exact an exacting toll on a worrying toll on civilians. These strikes, many conducted at night during freezing temperatures, continue to kill and injure civilians, sever essential services, and undermine the lifelines that civilians rely upon. Humanitarian partners, as we've been telling you, are continuing to deliver emergency supplies whenever and wherever they are allowed, but the access to some frontline areas remains extremely challenging due to the ongoing fighting. For her part, Kayogoto, the officer in charge for Europe, Central Asia, and the Americas in the Department of Political and Peacebuilding Affairs, said that despite cautious optimism around resumed diplomatic efforts, 2025 has been one of the deadliest for the people of Ukraine, who've not only shown remarkable resilience to endure the horrible consequence of the war, but also determination to a peaceful, democratic, and prosperous future for their country. She added that meeting their aspiration and ensuring a long-term stability in the region must remain our collective focus. Turning to Sudan, specifically the plight of children that we've been highlighting over the recent days. Our friends at UNICEF today called for urgent action to safeguard children and essential services. UNICEF estimates that 10 million people have been displaced in Sudan. Half of those 10 million are children. This is the highest level of child displacement anywhere on the planet. UNICEF reports that children trapped in besieged and hard-to-reach areas, including in Darfur and Kordofan regions, are especially vulnerable, where access to food, water, medical supplies remains practically cut off. Newly displaced children are arriving, but they're arriving exhausted, they're arriving dehydrated, and in urgent need of protection, of nutrition, and medical support. UNICEF's executive director, Catherine Russell, who's currently in Sudan, met with government officials in Port Sudan as well as with displaced women and children. As is too often the case, she underscored women and girls are bearing the brunt of the crisis, including horrific levels of sexual violence. They need protection services and global solidarity. As you well know, famine has been declared in parts of Darfur and Kordofan region, with the risk of that famine spreading. Despite severe access constraints, UNICEF is delivering assistance across the country wherever they can. We continue to call for an immediate end to the violence and for all parties to uphold their obligations under international humanitarian law and ensure the safety and dignity of every child and civilian in this horrific crisis. Heading south to South Sudan, our peacekeeping mission in that country is encouraged by renewed efforts from the country's leaders to reinvigorate political dialogue. The mission said today that meaningful progress towards a sustainable peace and credible elections requires an immediate end to violence nationwide. The mission remains deeply concerned by ongoing hostilities such as aerial bombardments, armed confrontation, and intercommunal clashes that continue to cause loss of life, widespread displacement, and the destruction of property, including critical humanitarian infrastructure. Turning to the situation in Gaza, the Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs tells us that we and our partners are continuing our efforts to scale up the humanitarian response, delivering life-saving assistance despite persistent impediments on the ground. Yesterday, the UN and its partners coordinated 10 humanitarian movements inside Gaza in coordination with Israeli authorities. 8 were facilitated, allowing us to collect critical supplies from the Karim Shalom, Karim Abu Salam, and Zikim crossings. That included fuel, blankets, tents, jerry cans, and vaccines. One mission was denied and another one impeded. Today, the World Health Organization said a second batch of 5 medical freezers has been delivered to 5 hospitals, including 2 stabilization centers for the treatment of severe acute malnutrition. All of this to ensure the safe storage of therapeutic milk and foods in malnourished children. The agency added that since August, it has provided 23 medical freezers to hospitals offering maternity and nutrition services to Gaza. These units help strengthen maternal health and improve child and newborn care. With severe storms expected this week, we are also trying to provide shelter services. Our colleagues who are doing that report that they've distributed tents, tarpaulins, blankets, and winter clothes and other critical supplies to help families cope. But what has reached people remains a trickle compared with the needs. Our partners estimate that 1.3 million people still require shelter ahead of winter. Past storms flooded displacement sites, contaminating living areas with sewage and solid waste. More than 760 sites holding some 850,000 human beings are at risk of flooding. You will recall that a major impediment to shelter response is the restrictive registration requirements for NGOs imposed by the Israeli authorities. Many of our NGO partners remain blocked from bringing in relief, and nearly 4,000 pallets of shelter materials have been rejected by Israeli authorities. Gaza urgently needs heavy machinery, tools, and many more shelter items to prevent catastrophic flooding. Meanwhile, our partners leading efforts to restore education services report that as of yesterday, the number of temporary learning spaces across Gaza has risen to more than 390, up from just over 300 in October. These spaces now support nearly 221,000 students, taught by some 5,200 teachers. Despite this progress, our partners know that just over a third of Gaza's school-age population in the 2025-2026 academic year were enrolled in these learning spaces, highlighting the continued gap in access to education in Gaza. The 2026 flash appeal for the occupied Palestinian territory was launched yesterday and calls for just over $4 billion to deliver life-saving humanitarian assistance to some 3.6 million people across Gaza and the occupied West Bank. The appeal underscores dual humanitarian crises, the catastrophic destruction and extreme deprivation in Gaza, and rising displacement, demolition, settler violence, and movement restriction in the West Bank. The plan seeks to address priority needs, including food, water, shelter, health, nutrition services, sanitation, hygiene aid, cash assistance, protection, mental health support, and the rehabilitation of basic infrastructures. OCHA warns that significant bureaucratic impediments, access restrictions, and the anti-UN rhetoric continues to constrain our aid operations. Full implementation of the humanitarian response depends on a stable and enabling operating environment. Just heading north to southern Lebanon, our UNIFIL peacekeepers tell us that repeated discoveries of unauthorized weapon caches and unexploded ordnances continue. Yesterday in Sector East, peacekeepers discovered a rocket launcher, cluster ammunition, and sub-munition. The day before in Sector West, they found a rocket launcher system hidden inside a pit covered with concrete blocks and earth. In keeping with their mandate, these findings were reported to the Lebanese armed forces. UNIFIL observed also continued Israeli Defense Force military activities in our area of operations. Yesterday alone, more than 500 rounds of small arms fire were recorded from south to north of the Blue Line in Sector East. Incidents of obstruction and aggressive behavior directed at our peacekeepers continue. Our blue helmets in southern Lebanon tell us that yesterday an Israeli Defense Force tank turned its turret directly towards a UNIFIL patrol vehicle in Sector East. On the same day, 2 green laser beams were pointed at a patrol while a small drone hovered at an altitude of 50 meters near the patrol's Sector West. We continue to call on both parties to adhere to their commitments and obligations under Security Council Resolution 1701, and we also encourage the party to safeguard the progress that has been made so far. A couple of things to flag for you. The launch of the first UN Decade of Sustainable Transport and its widely anticipated implementation plan will be launched tomorrow at UN headquarters, outlining 6 focus areas and means of implementations. The plan provides a roadmap to align policies, finance, technology, and data with sustainable transport to advance the SDGs. Also wanted to flag that today marks the 10th anniversary of the Youth, Peace, and Security Agenda, which was done through adoption of Security Council Resolution 2250. The resolution recognizes the vital role of young people play in building and sustaining peace and urges countries to include youth at all levels of peace processes and decision making. Next week on the 15th, the Youth, Peace, and Security Secretariat, otherwise known as Youth Office, the Department of Political and Peace Building Affairs, and the Population Fund are organizing a high-level stock-taking event. This will take place at 10 a.m. in Trusteeship Council, and will bring together member states, UN entities, youth leaders, and others, and you're welcome to attend. Later that day, the UN Youth Office will convene a peace circle as part of the campaign Hear Us, Act Now for a Peaceful World. More information on the interweb. We're almost done. Today is the International Day for the commemoration and dignity of the victims of the crime of genocide and the prevention of this crime. In his message, the Secretary General underscores that genocide is a horrendous crime and that it is the solemn duty of all states to prevent and punish it. But prevention is also a shared responsibility. By standing united against genocide, we honor its victims and uphold the right of all people to live in safety, dignity, and peace. Also today, don't try to give me any money because it is International Anti-Corruption Day. Corruption weakens institutions, harms economies, and fuels instability. With 1.9 billion young people worldwide, combating corruption is essential to protect their future. We have money. We have a quiz. Somebody gave us money. What? Somebody gave us money. It has nothing to do with the International Day. This country is home to the longest railway in the world. Who said Russia? Edie. Dennis. Dennis. Yes, it is the Russian Federation. We say thank you to the Russian Federation for their payment in full to the regular budget. We are now up to 146. We have a few days till December 31st. It is not too late to pay. Edie.
Thank you, Steph. A couple of follow-ups on the Yemen detentions and the referral to this criminal court. First, have all of those detained, including the dozens who work for NGOs and diplomatic, have they all been referred, or is it only the UN?
What I can tell you that a number of the UN staff have been referred to the Special Criminal Court, and that is of deep concern and worry for us.
So it's just a number of the 50?
Of the UN, yes, exactly.
Of the 59.
But these, they've been, there were procedures going on in the court, I believe, today, and all of this is very, very worrying to us.
And I assume that if they're referred to this court, that there would be some kind of a trial?
It's not our court. We don't want them to be in this court, and we want them to be released.
And of the 59, are they all Yemeni nationals?
Yes, all Yemeni nationals. Michelle Nichols.
Thank you.
Is there really a train that goes from east to west in Australia?
No, north to south.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I missed the
All
east to west bit. But there is, yeah, there is. You
Okay.
can go across Melbourne to Perth. Yeah. And you can go Adelaide to Darwin. Anyway, if anyone wants to go, it's very good. Sorry, on serious note, are the Houthis engaging with the UN on discussions to try and release them?
we continue. We are in constant discussions with the Houthis.
but are they receptive to sort of your...
I don't want to characterize the discussions. They're ongoing, and as I said, they're frequent. But the situation remains that 59 of our colleagues remain detained.
And are any countries that may be perceived to have influence with the Houthis
I mean,
being
let's be honest.
involved?
We've raised, the Secretary General and others have raised this issue in discussions with Iran, with Oman, with Saudi Arabia, and others. And I think all of these countries have been receptive and have played a role in helping us, and we're very much thankful for their engagement. As I said, the fact remains that 59 of our colleagues are continuing to be arbitrarily detained, which is unacceptable. Yes, madam, all the way in back.
Following up on the detainees, did you get in touch with them, the UN?
We have not been able to speak to our colleagues directly.
Okay, another question related to the escalating situation in Yemen, South Yemen. Okay, you have mentioned that there was meeting with the Emirati and Saudi ambassadors here. What's the outcome of this meeting?
All those meetings took place in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, what's the outcome of this?
I mean, this is part of Mr. Grunberg's effort to de-escalate the situation. It's diplomacy. It's an ongoing conversation. As I said, it's an ongoing process. Yes, Pan, and then Stefano.
Thank you, Steph. In early September, Chinese President Xi Jinping proposed the Global Governance Initiative. And this morning, the group of friends of global governance was formally launched here at the United Nations. So does the SG has any comments on this group? Thank you.
I mean, all I would say is I would refer you back to what the Secretary General has already said about the plan. I have to check if there was Secretariat participation in that meeting. Stefano.
Yes, thank you. Do you know when the Secretary General met last time or talked the last time with Special Advisor for the Responsibility to Protect, Mo Blicker?
I don't have a record of all of his conversations with internal staff members.
But like say in the last couple of months,
I'm sure they've had conversations. As I said, we don't have that kind of data. Deji, and then we'll go back to Edie.
Couple of questions. I should pay money to someone, I think. Is this working?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay,
I
cool.
can hear.
All right. So, sorry. Yesterday I asked you about the situation in the border area between Thailand and Cambodia, but obviously the tension escalates. Today, both sides accuse each other fighting attack the civilian villages. Has the Secretary General ever contacted anybody over this issue? And obviously, I think he's following the situation. And what is the latest response?
Yeah, I mean, we continue to be worried about the escalation, the rhetoric, and what is going on the ground. There was a framework that was signed in Kuala Lumpur. This is part of the efforts by the United States and by Malaysia to try to have a return to peace between the two neighbors. It is essential that both Cambodia and Thailand return to the letter and to the framework of that, to the letter and the intent of that framework.
Have they ever reached out for the Secretariat?
No, as you know, we always stand ready for good officers should both parties request it.
All right. Another location, Gaza. It seems that there would be soon a discussion on the phase 2 of the ceasefire. Has the UN have any role or had any discussion with any parties on ground?
I mean, we continue to be very much engaged with the relevant parties. I mean, as you recall, the Secretary General was in Doha not too long ago, had conversations with the Emir and the Prime Minister, Foreign Minister. We know the U.S. Ambassador, Mike Waltz, was in Jerusalem. He met with Ramiz Al-Abkarov, our Deputy Special Coordinator. Mr. Fletcher has had contacts with the U.S., so we continue to be in contact. But we are not directly involved in the negotiations and discussions on the implementation of Phase 2.
And in the term of Gaza, a couple of days ago, it's been reported that IDF Chief of the General Staff said that the yellow line, the Trump ceasefire plan, the yellow line is now the new border of Gaza. It's actually a large chunk of land outside the yellow line. What's the...
First of all, that seems to me to go against the spirit and the letter of the Trump peace plan. And we firmly stand against any change of the borders of Gaza and Israel.
So when we're talking about Gaza in this room, it's the Gaza, the original one. It's not the one within the yellow line.
Definitely.
Okay.
Okay. Alex, I'll come back for a second round.
Thanks, Steph. A quick follow-up on Russia's payment. How much did Russia pay?
I can tell you, 71,781,915 United States dollars.
Thank you so much.
Okay. No cents. Edie, then Stefano.
Thanks, Steph. And you may have answered this while I was away, but does the United Nations have any comment on children under the age of 16 in Australia losing access to social media platforms?
I did answer a question. I can't remember what I said, so I'll try to rephrase it. National governments are free through public policy and discussion to make up their own rules. I think it is clear, and it's been clear for the Secretary General, that social media companies, tech companies, have also a great responsibility on how their product is used, especially by young people, to ensure that they're not these platforms are not misused by nefarious actors to hurt young people. Vacara, ingegnere. Ingegnere. Why not? I'm going to give you a promotion
That's
today.
okay. Maybe you answered already this question. I don't know. But
nobody should read the transcript. Just
No,
just
I
keep
did.
going.
I do actually.
No,
every
I know
day.
you do, Stefano.
It just
I'm
that
just-
sometimes
I'm,
could
I'm
skip.
just. I'm being
Did the Secretary General read the Trump new national security strategy? 33 pages. And if he did, what is his reaction?
He's aware of it. I mean, he's not. His job is. I can tell you something, that the Secretary General's deep belief in multilateralism, in the need to uphold the ideals of the Charter, the need to uphold everything that has been built, especially since 1945, while needed reform, his deep belief in it continues.
A very quick follow-up. The Secretary General is Secretary General of the United Nations, but he's also an European. So any reaction on the way the national security strategy of the United States think about Europe and its future?
I mean, Stefano, I think if you want a European reaction, call the EU. On that note, enjoy the day. Fahan will be here with you tomorrow until we return. So be here at 12.